Welcome to the Zen Supermom podcast. The episode today for you is if you want to know how the freak do I stop yelling at my kids. However, caveat, step number 1 to find out how is you watch or attend live my signature Mommy Tantrum Training, okay? This is the first step. You need to understand a little bit of that theory and explanations. You need to start digging with me in that training because what I'm going to do here, I'm going to continue. That training itself provides foundational understanding that people tell me, even those who have done like 10 years of talk therapy, they tell me, well, this free 1-hour training was more powerful and insightful than even 10 years of talking to my therapist weekly. So you're welcome. I'm saving you lots of time and money. You need to take this first step because what I'm going to do, based on your understanding that you will gain from that training, I'm going to keep explaining how, okay? How those two things that I'm putting together in my specific method, how does it then translate in your specific situation with your kids? How can you stop yelling at them and make them listen and cooperate more? Without blaming, shaming, bribing, making yourself guilty and crying afterwards and breaking down and burning out. How? Want to know how? Let's talk. Hi, Supermom or Superdad. Alena here, your mommy tantrum specialist and the founder of the Zen Supermom system. And me and my team have helped hundreds of moms and dads start setting healthy boundaries with calm. And this is the first parenting podcast that is not about your kids, that shows you why none of the parenting techniques helped you stop yelling at your kids and how to control your emotions from jumping out so that you can be the safe, loving parent you wish you had growing up. This is the Zen Supermom podcast. Hi, my name is Alena. I'm a mommy tantrum specialist and I do help busy but yelling moms and dads start setting healthy boundaries with calm, so that your kids can start cooperating and listening much more often without doing it out of fear or being the good girl, good boy. And you can actually create much calmer, happier, more balanced, peaceful home. Yes, this is what I do. How do I do it? By first catching people where they are at. Yelling, frustrated, guilty, burned out, totally ashamed of being the worst mom ever. And I help them through first the free Mommy Tantrum Training. This is a prerequisite. If you want to know how to stop yelling at your kids, watch or attend that live training. Because there I'm going to explain to you what I'm just going to run very quickly through over now. So if you did not watch that training, you'll be like, wait, what? Where did that even come from? Wait, what did you just say? So go back, pause this podcast episode first, sign up for the training, watch the replay of the training, and then come back to this episode, okay? Things will make much more sense. Because the first basic 2 things that I always explain in that training, how do you stop yelling at your kids? First, heal the anger, the uncontrollable anger. Or the reason, if you're not a yeller, if you're on the other side of the extreme, if you're the people pleaser who have no boundaries, who cannot say no to your kids and you keep repeating things 100 times in a nice way, still hoping like, please listen to me now so that I don't have to yell. It's the opposite extreme. The same root cause is, spoiler alert if you didn't watch the training, is your childhood trauma. Yes, you have been traumatized, even if, like me, you had a super happy, super childhood with amazing parents, but if any of them or your siblings were making you feel not heard, not loved unconditionally, like you didn't matter, they did not give you a healthy example of how to manage your emotions, how to feel okay fully, how to feel worthy of love, that is childhood trauma. Congratulations, da-di-da-di-da. I just saved you 10 years of therapy. For more explanations, go to that training. So first piece, how to stop yelling, heal those emotions that feel so difficult to control. The reason why you can control them is because the moment your childhood trauma gets triggered by your kids now, you become a kid yourself. That's why then it feels like they're 2, 3-year-old, 4-year-old crying or screaming on the floor. You're welcome. Now you know. First thing, you need to heal that. And there are effective ways how to heal that in just a few months, not years, not decades. It doesn't have to be super painful. You don't have to be dragging this for, like, your kids are how old are your kids going to be 10 years from now? You have no time to waste. First thing, heal your own freaking childhood. Second thing that need to go in hand with that is mental fitness. That's why you can hear me talk a lot about mental fitness in these podcast episodes, because what is mental fitness? After cleaning your past, you're still left with these leftovers from the trauma, which are the voices in your head that are freaking you out, that are judging you, criticizing other people, making you feel like the victim. I have no power over that. It's because I'm so stressed out and nobody helps me and da-di-da-di-da. Yes, I know that's true. Your life is tough. Sure. Now, if you want to keep being the victim, I can't help you. You will be suffering. If you want to find out how you could still take your power back, take care of everything, including your own emotions, and be a healthy example of resilience and stress resistance for your kids, then let's talk about how to heal those voices in your head. People pleaser, anybody? Yeah? Doing everything for everybody, for the breadcrumbs of appreciation and recognition, just to make yourself feel good enough because I have so much empathy, I'm so caring of other people. And so at least, like, if I give so much, at least there will be at least a little bit of love coming back to me. Hi, people pleaser. By the way, no judgment with anybody here, okay? I'm always giving hugs to virtual hugs to everybody. No judgment. I'm just talking about my experience. If it doesn't relate to you, amazing. But I bet if you're listening to my podcast, you can relate. Hyperachievers, anybody here? Trying to achieve, prove, work hard just so that when one day I can be happy, I can feel good enough after I achieve this, after I manage this challenge, after I get another certification, after I become a non-yelling mom, then I can feel good. I'll be happy when, and that when never comes because you keep raising the bar for yourself. Hyperachiever, yeah. There are 9 trauma patterns. We heal them through mental fitness. Because until you keep running your life on them, it's going to screw you up completely. You will not be able to have healthy relationships with other people because you're still thinking more about you. Not in a selfish way. I don't mean it like you're narcissistic. You're not. Like, if you have a pleaser, the last thing you want to do is think about you. But underneath, any of those 9 trauma coping mechanisms you have that I explained in the training, by the way, go and watch it if you didn't. The root of all of them, again, going to the roots. That's why this is so effective. Going to the roots, not staying on the symptom level, not staying on the surface. At the root of all of them is not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy of unconditional love, not feeling safe. Yes? So that's why we start by healing your childhood, so that you heal all of that fear and not feeling good enough. And then in mental fitness, through mental fitness, you learn a healthy way of dealing with life. Is tough. Yes, it will be heavy. Yeah, but rather than complaining about society that doesn't support you, and fathers who are running away from families, and expatriate families who have nobody living nearby who could be on the phone when your kids get sick, like, let's not complain about things we cannot change. Yes, it is tough. I acknowledge, I give you that. But what if you could learn a healthy way? How to deal with it anyways, how you can be example for kids, how you can become the eye of the tornado, so that no matter how stressful and out of control and high emotions anybody around you really has, what if you could help them tone it down and feel loved and feel okay, even if they made a mistake, even if they're hungry and tired. Wish somebody did that for you growing up as well, right? Well, this is what you can do for yourself now, and what you can start doing for your kids, for a family when they need it. Yes? Now, usually the question is how? And this is why I got the inspiration for this podcast episode, because I just finished another of these Mommy Tantrum trainings. And this was the last question in the chat. Well, like, okay, so summarize it for me. Those are those 2 techniques that we need. But then how? How exactly am I going to be the mom who doesn't have to shout and her kids listen? Great question. Now, usually because these trainings are already so much longer than I planned, I always commit to doing it in 1 hour, and I always go over time, like 1 hour 15, and then I even take questions. So I don't have enough time like to go even deeper in it. So I did answer the question today at the end of the training, but I wanted to take more time to talk to you about it and explain fully how, because it's an excellent question. Thank you so much, author, if you recognize yourself, even if you will listen to this podcast episode. Great question. Okay, so how do you use these two things? How does it then work? So let's imagine you do your childhood trauma therapy. You do so that you don't feel the past pain. It stops jumping up at your kids. You do mental fitness so that you're not feeling you need to keep being the hyperachieving people pleaser, controller, perfectionist. Okay, so you know then how to deal with stress in a healthy way. So then how do you do it with your kids? How does it work exactly? Great question. Let's talk about it. For someone to ask a question like this, I can only imagine what you're expecting is to get one answer. How? Yeah, simple question, you expect to get simple answer. The problem is there is no one answer. That's why I'm not a parenting coach. That's why none of these parenting techniques with very specific parenting scenarios and situations and then scripts on how to handle it, that's why they didn't work for you. There might be many of you listening right now who did study parenting, like childhood psychology and parenting scripts. It didn't work for you. Why not? Why not? Because your situation was different, because your kid was different, and because you are a different parent than whatever model they have there for a perfect, amazing, 100% like flawless, calm, always patient parent, right? That's why it doesn't work. This is your answer. I'm sorry, but there is no one single golden bullet, one single golden answer that would be valid for everybody at all times. Like, how do you make your kids listen without you yelling? I'm sorry, that answer does not exist. Why not? You can tell me yourself. Think about your kids. If I would give you one advice today for a specific situation, I bet the same advice for the same mom, for the same child, even on the same day, might not work the next time. Why not? Because life. Because the reason why your child is not listening, why they're having big emotions, why they are hitting you or their siblings, the reason might be different every time. You know, this is why I turn it around. I am not the expert at your child. I will never blame or claim to have all the answers for you. To give you not even one answer, not even 10 answers will help you always. Not even one book would be enough to describe how special your child is and what they are going through every day. Because you tell me yourself, think about the last 3, 5, 10 scenarios when your kid did something that triggered you. And it might have been the same thing. It might have been they were not listening, or they had a big tantrum, they were screaming, yelling. Was it always for the same reason? I don't think so. Right? There is a difference if your child is being sad or having like a huge anger outburst. There might be a different reason behind. One day they might do it because they're overstimulated. You just spend a full day in a busy playground with tons of kids and noise, and they're just like, they've done, like they had enough. All they need is actually some quiet calm and some proper food in their stomach, right? They might have a tantrum another day because they're coming out of school when they had to behave, because there are rules. If kids don't listen at school, nursery, kindergarten, wherever, they're punished. They're singled out, they're judged, shamed by everybody. Of course, at school, my teacher might tell you, your child is so sweet and so cute, so well behaved at school. And they turn into a devil monster when they come home, and you're thinking like, what the heck? Why do I get the worst out of my kid? It's such an angel. Everybody thinks like, oh, you're so lucky you have such a sweet child. When they come home, they're a monster. Well, this is why. This is exactly the reason. It's connected. It's not either or, it's connected, right? So then for you, the answer on how to manage your child's meltdowns at the end of the day after they come from school, the answer will be completely different because they need a different thing. Because their meltdown is caused by the fact that at school there are strict rules they have to obey, and at home they actually feel safe with you to let it all go out, just like you feel safe to complain to your best friend because you know she will hopefully not judge you. Yes? That's why otherwise you can be such a positive, bubbly person, but then you see your best friend and you're like, this sucks. And I'm such a terrible mom because I just yell at my kid, even though on Instagram you're posting all of these nice, beautiful, smiling pictures with your kids, right? They feel safe to release and be who they are and just like decompress and breathe after a tough day, right? And that's also a then different meltdown than a kid who was bullied at school, or who just like broke up with their best friend, or whose best friend just made some hurtful comment about them. So they actually feel hurt. They feel like if my best friend is not talking to me and playing with me anymore, like this is painful. Yeah? Where are the big emotions coming from? You have no chance of having the empathy and compassion for a child and help them work through their big tantrum if you feel triggered by it. If you feel triggered because you were never allowed in your childhood to have big emotions, and whenever you were talking back, saying no, and crying and being angry, then people send you like, just go to your room. Come back when you're nice. Oh, go sit at this chair, like a punishment chair. I couldn't even tell you the amount of like parenting shows I saw, like from, I think most of them were from UK. There was like this super nanny coming and putting kids on shame chairs. Like, you will sit on this chair until you understand what you did that was wrong. And then you come and apologize. When was the last time it worked for you that somebody shamed you for making a mistake? I'm not saying, look, I'm not here to say have no boundaries. Okay? If your kids drew on the floor, beat up their younger sibling, or made a total mess with the food, I'm not saying that you should just like smile, have understanding, and just clean up for the rest of your day and tomorrow they do it again. No! Yes, they do need boundaries, but you don't teach them a lesson by shaming them? How did that work with you? Like, yeah, you might have been an obedient good girl, but look at the price you're paying until today. Not feeling good enough about yourself, not feeling like you can ever speak up, not feeling like your contribution is ever worthy. Doesn't work. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, you understand. But this is why, going back to my point, this is why you should stop looking for one single answer about how can I stop yelling at my kids? How do I make them listen the first time I ask? Okay? There is no one single answer. You, my dear supermom or superdad, will understand what the answer is once you stop feeling triggered by your own childhood stuff, because you were not allowed to have a discussion with your parents. You were not allowed to not listen the first time they ask you. So now you get triggered by like, how dare you? I had to listen to my parents the first time they asked. How dare you not listen for 99 times until I yell? I don't want to yell. I don't want to be like my parents, but you leave me no chance. No other choice. Okay? That's why we need to clean that up. And then the second piece, and what I love so much specifically about mental fitness, is it gives you the healthy way. Yes? So not only it shows you how damaging it is to live out of being controller, perfectionist, people pleaser, victim, avoider, restless, hyper-rational, hyper-vigilant. All of those are trauma coping mechanisms that promise you, I will make you feel better. Trust me, I will help you. You feel a lot of pain since you were a kid. Let me drive that for you. Let me give you better feeling. Lie. You know the price you're paying for it. Further, going one step further. Now that you understand, thanks to mental fitness, what cannot keep happening, because then you will just keep giving your trauma coping mechanisms to your kids. And there are lots of moms who are telling me, I can see my daughter is already a people pleaser. I can already see my son is a avoider. I can already see my kid as a hyperachiever, beating or perfectionist, beating herself up for not drawing perfectly the colors, and then she destroys it because her picture is not perfect, so she throws it out in the bin and tries over again 100 times because she's a perfectionist. Congratulations, you gave your child your trauma. That's the first thing, understanding why you don't want to give that to your kids. But then also, what I love so much about mental fitness, it gives you specific recipe what to do instead. What is the healthy way that our parents couldn't teach us because they didn't know? Bless them, not here to blame anybody for anything, but they couldn't teach us what is a healthy way, how to deal with stress, how to deal with people who have big emotions, how to deal with situations when people are not listening. They should be listening. Those little people especially, they should be listening, and they are not. How do you get their attention? How do you get their cooperation without blaming or shaming them? Okay? There is no single answer how. What you need to look at is why you cannot do it. Because the reasons will be different. For you as an individual person with your individual life story, for each child that you have, you know that if you have more than one kid, they're all different. And also they evolve as they grow older. Maybe what worked for them, and like maybe at certain age, distraction and playing games or doing competition works. Then they grow older and they're like, and this method doesn't work anymore for them. You need to keep adapting, right? That's why there's no single bullet. However, the good news is, once you understand the principles of healthy relationships, based on empathy, compassion, but a real one, not the people pleaser one who's looking for quid pro quo. I love you, I do things for me so that you love me back. I do things for you, but then I expect you say thank you. Because if you don't, you're an ungrateful little brat, and that's a pleaser. Doing things for others. Yeah, that's not compassion and empathy. That's like you expecting something back. It's your trauma underneath. Yes. This is what a lot of moms like come to me and ask me, like, well, how do I know if it's my pleaser or if it's like I am a caring, nurturing, super loving mom, right? Yes, you are. But this is exactly what you need to start learning. What is the difference between you having empathy and compassion for your kids? And where is it that you should say no? And where is it that you're doing things for them and with them because like out of your pure love? And where is it that you're doing it for them because you're not feeling good enough and you want to get the badge of the best mom of the year? Trying to prove yourself and trying to prove them that you're amazing and expecting thank you back. Okay? Is it start to click together the puzzle pieces in the place? That's why I'm not a parenting coach. I will never give you one-line advice. How to make your kids listen? Say this or do this. No, because it doesn't exist. And if anybody ever tells you it does, run. Run for the hills. Run fast and far. It does not exist. What works instead is you understanding where is it that you're getting tripped up? What prevents you from being a parent who can see their child fully? And what prevents you from setting consistent, predictable, safe, and healthy boundaries up front? Because kids do need boundaries. And how do you even know what boundaries are if your parents basically didn't let you have any boundaries? They just rolled over it like a bulldozer. They didn't let you say no. They didn't give you any choices, any options. They basically like it's like this. You want to stand up and say no, or I will do it in 5 minutes? Forget that. So how can you learn how to set healthy boundaries with your kids? Yes, because that's what they need. And this is why it's so hard to balance. And that's why, again, there's no single one bullet, no single golden answer, a recipe for moms, how to set healthy boundaries. Because it might look a different way for each child at each developmental stage. It might look different during school holidays and during school year. It might look different on the days when their dad is at home. And it might look different on a periods of time when dad is out of home for longer times, right? It might look different every time. That's why there's no single bullet answer. That's why you need to understand how it works, the principles, the logic behind it. How does it work? That boundaries are actually safe, kind of like fence around different activities of your child. And inside that fence, and I talked about it in many episodes, kids have freedom. They have the freedom. For example, my daughter, as young as she was 2 years old, I bought a first, how do you say that in English? In French, it's armoire. Like the closet for clothes. sorry, I lost the English word. The furniture where you store clothes in kids' size, I put there only few pieces of clothes, like 2 t-shirts, 2 pants, 2 socks, 2 pairs of socks, 1 coat. Okay, depending on the season, you put there always things that are appropriate, that no matter what she would pick out of it, I would know, like, great. I would tell her, amazing job. But she has a choice. 2. At the age of 2, 2 choices. At the age of 3, 3 choices. And then we increased it. Yes, not by every year 1 more choice, but then you can increase. But at the beginning, they need less so that they don't get overwhelmed. Okay? But as soon as 2 years old, she felt empowered. And she felt so happy that just like mommy or daddy, she can choose what she wants to wear. Like, what a bliss. And for her, that was enough to make her happy and occupied by trying to put it on by herself, right? So this is just like one single example. This is not a lesson like let your kids choose their clothes. But this is an invitation for you to keep your mind open, especially if there are power struggles. If there are any power struggles, especially when it gets so far that they're having problems even with their food, with the meals, and they are like gagging, vomiting. I even made a specific podcast episode about that. The more power struggles they are, the more it's a signal from your kids they lack freedom, independence in decisions. So while they cannot make decisions about, for example, at what time they want to go to sleep, or you don't want to let them eat ice cream for dinner every day, of course, you can put some fence around it, but within you can make them choose. Yes? So my daughter has appropriate clothes for the season she can choose from. Or I think in one of the last episodes, I mentioned the food. Like, my dear daughter, these are the veggies, 3 options of veggies or 2 options of veggies. This is one, like, you can choose what you want out of these things, but you will eat some veggies. Yeah, it's not an option. Yeah. Toothbrush. I'm talking a lot about brushing teeth in many episodes. It's not an option not to brush your teeth, but you can choose. Do you want to brush your teeth now or after we listen to a song? And do you want to brush them with your pink brush that you chose or with the red one? Yes? So like this, you're eliminating the power struggle because kids feel like, I have some decision-making power here, right? I can choose. Yeah? While you keeping boundaries. The boundary is non-negotiable. You're brushing teeth and you're brushing them in the next 5 minutes. But you're not saying that like this. You're telling them, do you want to brush your teeth now or in 5 minutes? Do you want to do it with this or with this toothbrush? Just an example, okay? So that you understand, this is what boundaries are. Boundaries with freedom inside, freedom of choice. Yes? These are the principles. These are just few examples I want to explain to you so that you understand the principles. This is why I will never give you one single advice. Do it like this or do it like that. You will figure it out, how it works for you, how it works for your kids in a specific situation, based on understanding what's underneath, which of their needs are not being met, why they are not listening. Because I bet you already know, you don't have bad kids. You don't have little monsters. The worse the behavior of your kids is, the more it indicates there's certain need for them that is not being met. And again, this is not an invitation for people pleaser to self-sacrifice and just do whatever for your kids, because sometimes it just means like they need more boundaries. Yeah. But the understanding of what's going on for them is going to inform then your choices. How is it that you can help them? Yes. That's why stop looking for the advice and start looking for a place where somebody will help you talk through it. They will help you see what is it in you that is, if not provoking and causing the situation 100%, what's at least then contributing to it to smaller or higher degree, so that's get out of the way first. Like, you get yourself, your trauma out of the way first, so that then you can focus on what is going on for my child, and therefore what is the best way, the healthiest, most efficient way to help them going forward. Yes? That's why we have group coaching calls inside the Zen Supermom program. Because rather than giving people advice and just teaching them parenting techniques and childhood psychology, we speak through these specific situations. So women inside the program, they learn the mental fitness as a theory. They get very specific instructions and very practical tools on how to start practicing it. And then they show up for the calls to ask me questions like, yeah, great, sounds amazing in theory, logically, I get it. But this is the thing that happened this morning. How the heck do I apply? What am I missing here? Okay? So that they can figure it out on their own. Usually what I'm doing most of the time in these calls, I just unblock their own trauma that was obstructing their clear view. And once they can see clearly, because their trauma is out of the way, they understand like, oh, this is what was going on for my kid. So actually this is what I might try to do the next time in the similar situation. Yeah. That's the support you need. And this is how you support your kids. This is how you actually make them, because this is, I could give you one single answer. How to make your kids listen without yelling at them. Make them feel heard and seen and loved unconditionally. Yeah. This is the one-liner. But it's not going to help you, right? Because they're like, what the heck? I don't feel heard and seen in this freaking dramatic stress out situation. I'm the one who needs to feel loved and heard. So you can't. That's why it starts with you. But this is then also the recipe for your kids. You make them feel loved, heard, and seen, like they matter. And yes, you can do it without sacrificing. Yes, you can make your child feel heard and seen, even when you're in the middle of your busy evening routine, trying to cook dinner, breastfeed the baby, and write the homework with the older one, and like, I'm not an octopus, I cannot clone myself, how do I do it then? Yes, you can do it even then. By focusing on priorities. Yeah. But again, not in one single bullet. I would need to have you in one of these group coaching calls so that you can tell me what keeps you stuck from not being able to do it. And once you get that out of the way, you would tell me yourself how you can do it. That's usually what happens. Our women inside the program, once they heal, they are actually coaching themselves. And it's so beautiful to see. This is actually why I'm doing what I do. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't want everybody to like admire me, put me on a pedestal, how Zen Supermom I am. No. My role is a guide. I help people get unstuck so that they can be the hero in their own story. I'm not going to be the hero in your story. I'm just the guide to show you, to walk with you for a little bit. Because then once I show you, then you will keep going by yourself. And this is what I love. Empowering women so that they get their power back, so that they understand how. You will figure it out. And I know that it might sound crazy, like, but my situation is so special and so heavy and so unique. There's no way how this can work. Yeah. Dare me. Try me. Show up for one of these live calls. And then talk to me. I'm booking those free assessment calls following the Mommy Tantrum Training because I want to talk to people. I want to know your story. And I want to talk specifically, well, how could it work for you? What would be your specific thing that you need to clean up so that you can find it out for yourself, moment by moment, how to do it? Let's talk about it. Dare me. Bring it on. I've been doing this for years, and so far, no challenge was big enough so that the mom wouldn't be able to actually figure it out by herself with our help once we heal her. This is why I'm here. That's why I'm so passionate. This is how I know we are successful. When those moms can coach themselves, when they can find their own response, their own answer to the how question. Yeah. And I wish the same for you. The fact that you're listening to podcasts like this, that tells me you really care. So let me help. I hope you watch that free Mommy Tantrum training. I want to hear from you how this episode helped you further develop your understanding. And whenever you're ready, let's just book your free assessment call with me. Let's talk. Let's talk. What is it that's blocking you from being that calm mom, the eye in the middle of the tornado? What prevents you from finding your own answer to your how questions? Let's talk. Cannot wait. Cannot wait to hear from you. Take very good care in the meantime. Bye. Why can't you stop yelling at your kids? And no, it's not the stress, lack of sleep, kids not listening, fighting, hitting, no support, time pressure, ADHD, hormones. No, moms around the world are doing it regardless. How? Join us for the upcoming Mommy Tantrum Training and find out too.